It took my breath away.
And we must make sure that you do not appear here again. Bailiff, whack his pee-pee.
What the hell are you two doing? It's called rocking out. You wouldn't understand, Dad. You're not with it. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
And hey, it's going to happen to you, that's for sure. Dr. Gonzo, professional drummer, played with many more oldies bands. I played with Chuck Berry, Gary Lewis and the Playboys, Classics 4, Beach Boys. Back in the day, late 70s, early 80s, did a studio album with some of the world's best musicians and sent it to the troops overseas after 9/11. So that's me. And now we're doing reviews, interviews. I have a radio station, GonzoRadioPiqua.com on the internet. I play all kind of stuff. Our shtick on Gonzo Radio is a radio station that listens to you. I will play anything for you from 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, a little bit of 90s. If you want some country, we got that in there. You want some Taylor Swift, we'll get it in there. Brian was looking for an outlet, and I'm going to be introducing actor, comic extraordinaire today, Brian Swinehart. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Brian before I bring him on stage here. Brian is the godfather of guffaw. He is the Lord of laughter. He is the bard of bawdiness. And so let's see a little bit of Brian's bit at the Improv, and then we'll bring Brian on stage.
Hey! All right, hey, Brea, man. Nice to be here in Brea. You know, I love Brea. I've been traveling a lot recently. Last weekend I was in Palm Springs. I don't know if you guys have been to Palm Springs. First time to Palm Springs, that place was really gay, man. Super gay place, man. I didn't mind, less competition for me. These two guys in a Jeep pulled up beside me. I got scared. I felt the way girls feel when I pull up beside them. I reacted the same way as they do. I put my head down, walked really fast. No, I don't have Instagram. I got pepper spray. But I love Brea, man. The girls here in Brea, beautiful. From all over the world, all different ethnicities. Hey. Yeah. I love them, man. I'm from Ohio. Girls in Ohio are a little rough. That's how Ohio got its name. You see her from far, then she gets close. Oh, hi. Oh. I grew up in a little town. We only had 2,000 people in my town. 2,000 people. We only had one restaurant. It's a unique restaurant. It's the only restaurant like it in the world. It's called Buffalo Jack's. Buffalo Jack's restaurant. They serve buffalo burger and alligator. Now, I don't know how fresh the alligator is because there's no bayou in Ohio. I think Jack just walks outside, shoots a chicken. That's gator. Grill it up. I'd rather eat gator than chicken. If something has to die for me to live, I'd want to eat something that wants to eat me, you know? So I grew up in this little town, real safe place, right? Little safe town. Then I moved to Los Angeles. Heard gunshots in front of my apartment. Gunshots. I didn't even call 911. I said, good. Another parking spot. Moving to LA, man, it's a culture thing too, man. I got a job when I moved out to LA. I got a friend, he grew up in Compton. I'm from a town of 2,000. He's from Compton. He's a big guy. weighs 400 pounds. 400 pounds, goes by the name of T. Reezy. His name, T. Reezy. My name, Brian Swinehart. And he says to me, yo, dog, I don't know about your name, Brian Swinehart. That sounds country. I said, T. Reezy, I don't know about your name. That sounds criminal. Yo, dog, you in LA now. You need a street name. You need to hip-hop it up. You going by B. Swine. B. Swine, the other white meat. AKA BH1N1. Mess with you, they get the flu. You B. Swine. I'm not a thug, but I could use a hug. My name is B. Swine. Yeah, man. T. Reezy, he even made me these shirts. They say swine time. Yeah, swine time. Yeah, they're nice shirts. I sell them after the show, so, that's my swine time shirts. Yeah. It's fun having a friend who grew up in a different culture than you. Where I grew up, we listened to country music. I grew up on Johnny Cash, Garth Brooks, Tim McGraw. Yeah, man. Then I go to pick up T. Reezy one night. I got the country music station on. He jumps in my car. Yo, dog, what's this racist bullshit? Like, T. Reezy, this song isn't racist. It's about a guy who's in love with a tractor. You know that song? If anything, that's open-minded. That's interracial dating between a man and a John Deere. I have another friend who's a little person. It's awesome. I have a friend who's a little person. When I met him, though, I didn't know I was supposed to call him a little person. I didn't know that's what the term was. Because in my town, people weren't politically correct. I mean, we had this kid in our school. He was a little person. We never called him little person Jimmy. We called him Midget Jimmy. And we had to call him that because there was another kid in our school named Jimmy. We had two Jimmys. Midget Jimmy and regular Jimmy. Then a third kid moved into our town. His name was Jimmy, but he was real skinny, so we called him Slim Jim. Yeah, man. Like having a little friend, man. My mom wasn't politically correct. I'd come home from school. Hey, Mom, I'm going over to Jimmy's house. Which one, regular or midget? Midget. Well, you got homework to do. You can only stay for a short time. Yeah, my mom's crazy.
How dare you?
Cool.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Hey, I'm going to give a little commercial. I do not monetize, so feel free below to give to the GoFundMe. You can tip in PayPal. I want to give a shout out to my favorite YouTube people, Gary at Nerderotic. Friday Night Tights is kind of like the Hollywood Squares of geekdom. You can go and watch it. There's adult language on these places. And pick who you like, then follow them around. That's the way I got to find out that Chris Gore was still in business. Used to watch Chris Gore on G4 as well as Attack of the Show. Watch that with my two sons. Well, we watched Olivia Munn mainly, and Chris was known as the Beatnik guy. And Chris is a co-host, Alan Ing the Merciless, who's a great, they work together. They're almost like a married couple. They're so fun. League of Memers, of course, Pauly, Latino Slat, Fletcher, Midnight Edge, Paul Chato, however you say it. Oh, he's out with Mexican Iron Man right now. Spent some time in Southern California. And of course, Horny Alf and all my friends out on Twitter. Please like and subscribe. Now, Brian is going to appear. You can see down there in our little ticker tape parade there that Brian's going to be live at the North Star Coffee Station, 655 North Main Street. I'll be emceeing that, and that's going to start at 3:30. Now, Brian not only does comedy, but he's done a lot of actor stuff. Last time we interviewed, I just found out that Brian did Cowboys and Aliens, which was directed by John Favreau. It was a weird movie, but yeah, I like Buckaroo Buns. I like weird movies. Now, Brian told me, and Brian was also on Fast and Furious, um, and worked with director James Wan. Now, sometimes, Brian, you were saying they get hand shots, and different body shots. How do you do a hand audition? Yeah, seriously, I was
Yeah.
wondering about that. I mean, how do they figure out what best hand to use?
You know what? That's pretty interesting. For a lot of the shows, you would show up and there's usually 5 guys, and I'm almost always with the same 5 guys, right? There was like 5 of us that were always getting the call, and it would just be because they match you up by your height, how you match up to the actors, whatnot, and it was kind of like the same group of guys that I would mainly see, and we would stand in front of. Sometimes it would be uh, some kind of production person. Sometimes it would be the director, but usually it would be like a wardrobe lady or somebody like that. And we would just kind of put our hands out. And at the time, I had 10 perfect fingers. Since then, I've lost my fingertips here. But we would put our hands out like this, put our hands out like that. Kind of, they would look at us, look. Then sometimes they would even have a picture of the hands of the actual actor, and they would look. And then they go, okay, you got, they point to one of you, and then you got the job, and then the other guys had to go back home. But even when you don't get the job, because there's a bunch of jobs I never got, that you would still get. I think we got like $45 or $50 for showing up. So they gave you something for your time of going out and to the set, and I mean, for lack of a better word, auditioning. I mean, there wasn't really any skill set to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of got lucky, man. I mean, that's the only way I can think. I kind of got that job with McConaughey as a stand-in. And then after that, you kind of, okay, they're like, well, he didn't screw up, or at least he didn't screw up too bad. So we'll keep using him. So I think
Well, you look a little like Matthew McConaughey, and you definitely have the your imitation of Matthew McConaughey down.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. It's just kind of, if you're pretty much this close to the same height, give or take a little bit, pretty much the same weight, give or take a little bit. I mean, because really all they're doing with you is just lining up the shots and giving the actor a break so he can, put his wardrobe on, learn his lines, get in the mindset of his character. And you're just kind of sitting there, and, the lighting guys are looking at you, and the sound guy is making sure he can hear, sometimes you'll read the lines of the scene, and the crew will be, and there'll be the other actor there, and you guys will run what the main actors are about to do. And
so you're holding his mark for him, right?
You're holding
is that you're on his mark wherever that
Yeah.
scene would take place?
Yeah, and they usually give you a little script. The script's real small. It'd be like maybe this big of a script, right, with all the lines that's on the scene. And then what I would do is I would write down, okay, so on when he says, Your Honor, my client is innocent, then he walked over to mark number 2. So I would walk from there to there. And then they say, and then I would be real detailed, like sometimes because they practice the scene, then you stand in, and then they shoot the scene. And it changes each time, right? They practice the scene, and then they'll look at it, and the lighting guys will be like, okay, you know what? The light's not good here. He's got to stand over here. Then he comes in, he does the scene. He might change it a little bit. But my job was to kind of watch and say, if he said, so if he's in the rehearsal, if he leans back on his chair and goes, objection, then when I'm practicing it for the guys filming, I lean back and go, objection, so that, because the lighting from here, as you can see, even in this little podcast, my eyes are more lightly lit when I'm forward than when I'm backward. So all those
So the cinematographer is going there with his little light meter and stuff like that and checking the lighting, I would imagine.
Yeah, so they're really detail oriented. I mean, they got a lot of money to spend on this. This isn't just like they're making a quick video for YouTube Shorts. It's like they're really,
right.
I don't know how much money each scene costs them to make, but they're really detail oriented. So so yeah, so it's pretty fun because you're not really per se in the movie. I mean, sometimes they would put me in the movies, like in the background or whatever, or give you a little, a little something extra to do because you were with them the whole time. But you still get it kind of almost it kind of feels. I explain it to be like of being a backup quarterback, right? It's like you're getting to learn, you're getting to hang out, but you're not getting any playing time. And but you're getting to go through all the motions. I'm getting to practice snaps in, and so I do get to meet everybody on the crew, from the directors to the wardrobe to the craft service people. I got to meet several of the producers on different things.
And you got to throw the football with Matthew.
Yeah, I got to throw football with Matthew, and
I could see him doing that. He
just
seems like a nice guy. Yeah.
boom, just throwing the football. And the guy, I see why he became successful, because he's got a really good work ethic. Is that after we got done filming, even if we finished filming at 2 a.m., the dude would bring out his stationary bike and ride for 30 to 45 minutes every day. If we got done filming in the daytime, he would go for a run. But every day after work, he would work out. And I was like, dang, no wonder he's the actor and I'm the stand-in, because I'm gonna go home and sleep. So
yeah, and that's why he's got that 8-pack too, man.
Yeah, totally, dude. That's really
rocking that.
Yeah.
So you had the privilege to work in Fast and Furious, of course. Paul Walker, the tragedy of that. James Wan has been in the press lately, who directed Fast and Furious. Now, there's been some negative stuff in the press, and people can go read that for themselves. I don't care to get into any Amber Heard rumors or any of that. But did you get to work directly with James Wan?
Yeah, actually I did, and I really loved that guy, man. He was nice. So, the cool thing for me, of course, as a stand-in, you want to be a main actor or whatever, but it was pretty close to being an actor without being in the movie, and so you got to kind of stand there on the mark and watch everything happening, which to me, being from Covington, Ohio, that's pretty exciting stuff, right? It's something I never even thought of doing when I was a kid. And James Wan would always come up to me, and he and one thing I was impressed by, he learned my name pretty quickly. And there was a lot of people working on this. This was like the second biggest movie budget in the history of movies, was Fast and Furious 7.
Right.
Going on. And I remember there was the scene out there on the beach. It's kind of towards the end of the movie, where Paul Walker's character is out there. Paul Walker's character, ironically, his name was Brian as well. In the movie, his character's name's Brian. But so he's out there with his girl, and on the beach and everything. And James he was cool, man. He said, "Man, I really like your demeanor." I said, "Oh, thanks, dude." I said, "Let me look up demeanor in the dictionary real quick." So, so I, those were good times, man. I mean, as far as the situation of everything, why I was working on the movie was, I would have rather not worked on the movie and had Paul been alive, obviously, and finished out the movie, and he'd be out there making more cool movies right now. But it was really nice, and some, people talk about Hollywood people a lot. And from my experience, I really found that a lot of the successful people were really cool. Like, I mean, I do think there's some stuff that goes on, like there are like a Harvey Weinstein type of guy, I suppose, but I never met the people that I met and worked with, knock on wood, everybody was real cool. And, I thought James Wan was kind of like a genius in his business. He is, obviously, because of his movies, but you could see, like, he was always relaxed. And that's a sign to me of somebody who knows what they're doing. If you're so relaxed that you can learn the stand-in's name and have a conversation with, because I'm the least important person on the thing. I mean, they can find plenty of people to stand there, right? I'm not like the, so so the fact that he was able to kind of be really, really nice with somebody like me who was kind of lower on the totem pole. And because there are some shows where, people are stressed and they don't have a lot of it's about, I feel like, organization. For someone in an important spot like directors or producers, they really have to be, and they have to have an eye, right? They have to know.
Well, they're like managers, and Juan is known for, he has it in his head already.
Yeah.
What he wants, and so he can explain to you and get. I've heard this. I've never met the man, but I've heard he gives exact direction, very to the point, because he knows what he wants. It's already in his head,
Yeah, and I think that just makes it easier for everybody. And I just felt like, he knew what he was doing, because he never got upset. He was always super nice. You wouldn't even know he was he carried himself in such a way you wouldn't know he's a director, right? You would, if I didn't.
That's cool.
Like and honestly, I didn't know what the guy looked like till I got there. I'm not really, being that I was in the business, I should be more alert of, who people are and what they do. But I was kind of always working so hard to get a job that once I got a job, I was there, and then I was focused on that one job and wasn't really ever paying attention to everything else going on in the business too much, except where I was at the time. And so he was just really cool. I mean, he spent plenty of time that we had, regular type conversations, nothing like life changing, but like, just like, and I was like, man, I really like this guy, man. And I hope that one day I get to work with him again in somewhere. I don't know if that will ever be possible. And I don't know if my Facebook posts have taken me out of Hollywood totally, but but
unpolitically correct, Brian.
but
but you have a good heart, and you know what? You've also written a screenplay also called Burning Shadow. You co-wrote a screenplay. Tell us just a little bit about that. What's it like writing a screenplay, and what went into writing Burning Shadow?
Well, I wrote Burning Shadow with another guy that I actually kind of met this guy through a mutual friend, and he and I, he was from France, and man, honestly, he and I couldn't be more different. I mean, we kind of connected on some stuff, but we were pretty different people. But for some reason, we could write really well together. Like our points of view on the world couldn't be more different. But when he and I would sit down and write, and I will give him credit, he was a little older than me and more experienced, so he would usually take the lead. And by take the lead, I mean that he would sit at the computer and write, and I would dialogue it more. So, or he would still come up with plenty of dialogue, but I would add to it through dialogue, being that he was English wasn't his first language. So a lot of the ways that people talk, it's different, so
sure. Yeah.
And then we both came up with stuff, but a lot of it was like, I guess my role in that was more of pitch ideas, pitch thoughts, because one guy usually writes and the other guy kind of paces back and forth, and maybe he says this, boom, that doesn't sound good. Maybe he says this. So we actually wrote maybe 4 or 5 scripts altogether. But we would write every day from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. When I wasn't having an extra job, stand-in job, or an acting job. And we would write consistently. And Burning Shadow, I didn't even think that would be the one that got picked up, because I kind of felt like some of the other scripts were even better. But Burning Shadow was a low-budget style movie that had kind of a niche, and it was really weird. And the producers liked it, and they made it. And it was fun. It was a little like, I enjoy the writing process, but then being on set of something that you wrote and then it like doesn't really like how do I put it, man? It doesn't kind of
Doesn't
turn.
translate to the screen.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. It was a good independent movie, but it wasn't like, in my mind's eye, how it was going to look and how it did look. And just kind of a lot of the nonsense that goes on behind the scenes. To be honest, dude, I kind of don't even really, I mean, I've seen the movie several times, but I kind of like, I put it in it's weird because I did a podcast a week ago. Somebody was asking me about my favorite projects I ever worked on. And it was honestly the lowest budget thing that's never going to make me $1 was my favorite thing. And that's the one with Scooby from Covington, my friend from Covington, Scooby with Down syndrome. And I'm like, okay, that was just a short film. And granted, a feature film got made and this and that, but it was just the difference of like, there's less of a project like the one about Scooby, even though it's a 5-minute short film with some technical difficulties, right? We didn't have the proper sound equipment or whatnot, to, working on a big production where there's like the stress of, everybody thinks this is going to be a big break for them. And then you make the movie and it's cool and you got another credit, but your life hasn't really changed. Other than you got the credit.
Well, and it lifted up Scooby. And so, matter of fact, let's segue right into it. I'm going to show a short clip from that movie right now.
With all that talent, it was just a matter of time till Hollywood started calling.
The nominations for Best Actor are Dennis Scooby Willoughby, the #1 fan.
I was that guy being here once again. I love him. Oh, my. This for you, Dad. I love you. My dad is a great man. I love him.
And the winner is, drum roll please, Joopy
It's nice, dude.
Sometimes you try so hard, but you come up short. That's okay. It's all about the voyage.
You did, Stu. You did good, babe.
The Small Town Hero was a big hit in the big city. Women love a movie star. One man can only be in one place at a time. Scooby's place is Covington, where the icon was born.
And Brian, regardless of Academy Awards or Scooby being a big star, just think what you doing that meant to his life.
Man, what it did to my life, buddy, too.
Tell us about that.
Man, so I get kind of like I get a little choked up on that. I mean, I shouldn't have said
I
that.
did watching it, yeah.
But because I was part, but we made the first one we made was and we did this for the Easter Seals Disability Film Festival. It's a festival. Easter Seals is a great nonprofit organization that helps out disabled people. And there's a guy named Nick Novicki, who's a friend of mine, who created this film festival, and you use a disabled person to be the star of your film. And you have a weekend to make a short film. And so we actually ended up doing 3 different Scooby movies. And the first one was kind of a fictional one of Scooby getting off of work to go to the game. And then that one we just saw was a little documentary. And Scooby got to go to Hollywood because he got nominated Best Actor for his, and that scene that we just showed was, where, we got to take him. And how it changes me, how it affected me is that I knew Scooby since I was a little kid on a paper route. I had a paper route when I was maybe 9 or 10, and I would see Scooby walking around, and everybody knew Scoob and loved Scoob. And so I always thought he was an interesting guy. And of course, everybody in town knows him. I mean, that's what I love about our town being so small. And so when I kind of came home and saw that Scooby was doing a was doing a pro wrestling match. They had him in this thing to raise money, and then I said, man, I want to use Scoob and this thing. And then so bringing Scoob, doing this movie about Scoob, it got me to understand Scoob more, got me to learn about Scoob more, and it gave me even more of a respect for my hometown. And then it also made me realize that I don't need Hollywood to do what I want to do. And it also made me realize that, dude, I don't need to be famous to put out something cool that's going to affect people. And I can be my own guy. So whether I'm right or wrong with all my thinking of the world and all this stuff, because there's probably as many people that disagree with me as agree with me. I was able to leave Hollywood, even though I really loved all the stuff I did, and go, I'll still be okay. And I'll still be okay. I won't be able to go out for, some of these jobs that I was doing before, but I also don't have to do certain things that they were pushing people to do in 2020 that I just didn't agree with. And I think that making that movie about Scoob, it brought a light to our town a little bit. Everybody was happy. We did a GoFundMe that gave, in one day we had enough money from GoFundMe to send Scooby to Hollywood to go walk down the red carpet, and he got interviewed, and he was a star there, man. Everybody loved him, and
that's very cool.
Yeah. And what's great about Scoob is he's always going to be Scoob, no matter what place you put him in. He's still Scoob, right? He's going to, Scooby knows no strangers, right? If Scooby treat everybody like he know him. So in LA, where people are so fake and superficial, you bring Scooby out there and he's a breath of fresh air to the people there, because he's, sure. he's got Down syndrome, but he's also got this country charm that us folks from the country of Covington, Ohio have, right? So, which we don't even know is a country charm, but if you put us in the city, it's a country charm.
And I'll put a link to your mini documentary on Scooby, the whole thing. I thought it was fun when he was coaching the Bucks and all that kind of stuff, I'll put it down in the comment section. I'll put a link so you can watch, so people can watch that whole, it's a little mini 5-minute documentary. And you know what? It made him feel good. Made Scooby's mom feel good. He's sitting on a porch, and see, in the long haul of things, sometimes I think you look at what's happening to Marvel and Disney, and we talked about this before. We go to movies to escape, to get away from things, not to be preached at, and you don't want to walk in and feel like
hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right, because then I start to taste them. I say, and then I start to smell them. So it's like a smell that tastes like. So I knew something was wrong. I knew something special about it.
You definitely don't want to feel like that, and that's honestly the way I feel going into the movies. I mean, I look at the first 5 minutes and I think
weird.
Yep.
And so I just want to be entertained. That's why I love the Tom Cruise stuff that came out. He sits there with the director, thanks you for coming to the movie, eat some popcorn, go for a thrill ride, get outside your head. And that's why I linked up with a bunch of these YouTube channels. I started watching Erotic when Donna was sick. with Alzheimer's. I needed to get outside myself a little bit, and they gave me an escape. And then I found Chris Gore from G4. I know I talk about him a lot, but anytime I spend time with my family is special. And me and my Alan and Steven used to watch G4 and Attack of the Show. So it was a special time for me. So, hey, yeah, it's, I'm not trying to have a bromance, but Chris has a special place in my heart. And, we communicate a little bit on Twitter, which is cool. And Alan Ing, his co-host, is great co-host. And the thing I like is even though G4 is no longer there, Chris is still doing it. You're still doing it. You're still being a comic, and you'll be a comic coming up this Saturday at the North Star Coffee Station in Piqua, 3:30 to around 5-ish. And of course, you'll go to Dayton. You'll kidnap a couple guys, duct tape them, throw them in your trunk, bring them so they can show their stuff. And you also have this. Let me put this on the screen for a minute here. Let me add this to the stage. There we go. Okay, so you folks that are in this area here, in what is that, Marengo, Ohio, Brian?
Yeah, Marengo, Ohio. So it's just
do they do the merengue?
Yeah.
Merengue?
Yeah. Merengue.
Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. So tell me a little bit about your guests in this. Tell me a little about this gig. Let's promo this gig.
Yes,
I like the part no heckling or the throw a $5 charge at you.
Whoa, man! I didn't know they.
Did you see that? No heckling. Hey, Chrissy Mayer and Kiki Thompson and Lila Hart. You ought to pick up on that one. Oh man, Chrissy Mayer would be a rich woman.
So this gig is awesome. It's every month. It's the third Friday of the month. So that's why we worked it out with North Star Coffee to do the third Saturday of every month, because I do this show the third Friday of every month. And random, man, this was a great story. I got a message on Facebook from a guy. He said he saw me on the Kill Tony podcast and saw I was from Ohio and liked my set on the podcast. And he said he had a bar and he wanted to do a comedy show. And it's weird because I had been saying, man, I need to get some monthly gigs in Ohio so I don't have to leave, because I'm really burnt out on traveling so much, And he told me, he had this little stage and he wanted to do a show, and I could tell the guy was serious. So I said, well, let's put on a show. And that was we put on our first show last December, once a month. So this is show 10, I guess, and 10 or 11. And I guess it would be, yeah. So anyways, but the show is always packed. He puts on it's a great venue. It really works. And the comics always have a blast. The audience have a blast. Now it is kind of country, wild people. So you do need the heckling thing up there because, they're wild folks. But but we haven't really had a problem. Just a couple little things with that. But we get top line comics, because Vince Morris, he's one of the best known comics of Ohio and in the area. I mean, he's been all over. He's been on I don't know how many TV shows and stuff. And Jay Snyder's featuring, which actually Jay Snyder's a headliner in his own right, but Vince wanted to bring him to do the show. And I said, that's freaking awesome. So we got 2 headliners for the price of 1 there. And we always have a local comic from Columbus area come and do a guest spot. And then I always host it. And it's pretty great. And so we just kind of, stay busy with that. And it's, man, they really do a good job at that show, good food. And so I'm doing the best I can to bring comedy to more, to Ohio, the area we're in. I feel like that's the one thing we need is more kind of entertainment for the people to go out and do something rather than just sit and look at our phones or whatever. And
if you're on your Facebook page, I shared that picture. You were working out. You wrestle as well.
Yeah.
Not quite like this.
Look! This is wrestling. This.
Come on, Toby, get this. Take it, Toby.
Mister, you better take your gay porn and walk right out of this bar.
So long, gay boys.
Yeah. So isn't there a AC/DC song "Balls to the Wall" or something like that? But they don't do that. But Brian, you actually met a legit guy that is going possibly to the Olympics.
Yeah, his name is Mason Paris. He was his last name is Paris, and he's in the Olympics are going to be in Paris. So hopefully it's destiny. And he's a three-time state champion. He lost one match in high school by 1 point. Three-time NCAA champion, and he was the Hodge Trophy winner, which that is the equivalent of the Heisman. So that's
cool. Yeah,
that's wrestling's Heisman Trophy he won, and he just took third place at the world trials, the world meet, which is similar to the. I mean, it's going to be pretty much kind of the same guys. So. He's from Ohio, and he's friends with my friend Nick Spatola, who was a wrestler at Indiana University, who I kind of grew up with, and he came to his wrestling camp. Nick puts on a wrestling camp, and it was pretty cool, man. It's really fun to see this guy going for his goals, his dreams. He's been wrestling since he was 4 years old. His dad was his coach, and he was also good at football, but he decided to go for wrestling. He's 265 pounds of pure freaking muscle, and just a nice guy. Just a nice guy. I mean, you definitely, if you're in a bar, I'd want to be standing beside him in a bar. I don't think people would give you much trouble, but he's also the type of guy that wouldn't start any trouble. But when you're that tough, you don't need to, I guess. And
unless you're
Massimo Giannulli, the fashion designer. This would be a wrestling plant, I believe. But about to get wet.
Yeah,
mess with a pro wrestler.
That's right.
I'm sure that was staged, but that is because wrestlers, you use every part of your body there, so it's a great workout. It's a great sport. And Brian, we talked about this, making boys into men. That's so important these days. I never forced my kids, all four of them, 2 boys, 2 girls, never forced them into anything, but encouraged them in what they wanted to do. But I wanted my boys to be boys, and that doesn't mean beat people up. Since I'm a martial artist, I taught Alan karate, and I got a call from Graham that Alan had a problem he was in 3rd grade, had a problem on the playground, went down there, and the principal said, we really didn't have a problem with Alan. Somebody was trying to beat him up, and Alan put him in a wrist lock and just held him down and said, please don't hurt me.
Wow.
And then he let the guy go. He didn't whip on him. He didn't do that. He just knew the proper pressure. So you learn to defend yourself, so you don't have to use it, but we don't want to feminize boys. And that doesn't mean girls can't learn martial arts either, because, there's a bunch of great female martial artists out there. I mean, you watch any kind of John Wick movie or anything like that, you can see there is definitely some representation on there. But
I was going to jump in there on that. Even in wrestling now, there's a lot of girls that wrestle. And when you coach, it's interesting because girls actually learn the techniques faster. young kids, because girls really pay attention to, where you place your hands, where the boys just want to grab and, do that right away. So, as far as just take their guys down, where the girls will, oh, I got to put my hand on his ankle or wherever, so they're more like, kind of pay attention, but,
Preparing for the next prom date.
Totally. Right. Yeah. They got,
Yeah, that's it. The boys want to put all their hands and the
Yeah.
girls want to pay attention to, you should, guys, it's not manly to ever force yourself on a female. That's Dr. Gonzo's hit. Don't ever do that. That's bad stuff. Always be a gentleman, learn to hold doors open for ladies and keep your hands to yourself, like the Fabulous Thunderbirds would say, So, but yeah, so they learn quickly. And that's kind of a female thing too. They catch on to stuff faster than boys. It's actually been science that, they mature quicker than boys. That's why, part of my bit is I don't have anything against anybody. I've been in the entertainment business a long time. I've seen gay people. I don't care who you have an intimate life with. I really don't care. But I tell you what, as far as guys why would you want, I watched that Matt Walsh, What is a Woman?
Yeah.
Why would a guy want to be a woman? Dude, man, that mystifies me. Why would you want to have a period once a month? I had a girlfriend who had cramps that would double her over. And if I tried to touch her or anything, she'd smack me. Touch her to rub her back to try to comfort her, and have babies. Are you kidding? We'd be out of existence, number one. What Carol Burnett said, giving birth is like taking your lower lip and pulling it up over your head, so, and then they go through mental pause. Oh my gosh. When Donna was still alive, I remember her we went through mental pause together because I'd be in bed in the middle of the night. It's like, woo, all the blankets are going off. Hot flash, hot flash. Why would guys want that?
No.
Girls put up with a lot of stuff, So, that's my little preachy boo there. So, let boys be boys. I'm not against anybody playing with any kind of toys. My sons never played with Barbies unless it was to pull the heads off of them, and they got in trouble for that, But
there is a lot to be said for the martial arts, and I'll just throw wrestling in with the martial arts because it's not quite, but it kind of is the same thing. And it's like just to have the kids kind of and know how to defend themselves and tough, and just and it always helps me because I realize how you got to be careful on the street because there's just so many people that can just destroy me. I go to these practices and I'm just getting destroyed by people, and it just shows you how tough people out there actually are. And it gives you discipline, and it's like I really wish that every school had it, wrestling or some martial arts. And I feel like the school systems right now are like we were talking about girls learning faster. The school system really aren't set up for boys too much, in my opinion, because what do boys want to learn about? They want to learn about pirates. They want to read books on pirates and all these, Indians.
Robin Hood. Shoot arrows.
Yeah, shoot arrows. And those books are not allowed, and they're not letting the kids read those. And it's just kind of I think that they have kind of tried to make boys kind of weaker. And I mean, we know the long game of that is, what we're seeing going on in the world right now is trying to get America kind of weak and the kids. But that's why I love that sport. I love seeing like some of these kids come up and I'm like, okay, these guys are going to be okay. It's going to teach them what they need to get through the tough times in life, because And one reason I still wrestle to this day is because when I'm out there working out and wrestling, when you got somebody putting their hand across your nose like this and it feels like it's going to break, you're not worried about any other thing in the world, right? There is not one thing in the world going on that's in my mind at this time other than getting this hand off my face, right? So that's one thing I like because I had something recently where it really put it into perspective. I was arguing with somebody on Facebook on my phone before practice. Then I went into practice and I was still kind of thinking about that person that was getting on my nerves, who would never be able to take me down in real life, right? And then I go and I'm practicing, and the guy I'm practicing with is 22 years old, just right, and he chops my arm, and my arm tingled from all the way down to my fingers, and it tingled for the rest of the day. And I said, that's what I get for having my head somewhere else than in the real world, which is what's in front of me.
Well, and it's also a little bit getting old. I mean, I still work out. My drum set's behind me. I walk a lot, and I have a pretty vigorous job. But getting to be 66 years old and hope to get to 69, or at least one more time in my life. But I could sneeze and throw my back out, man. I saw a Paul Reiser joke on that. It's a true thing, man. You're in the wrong position, you sneeze, it's like, oh gosh, but it's the feminization. And I have nothing against people talking about their feelings. I was watching some of that Loki episode, and at the end of it, Loki got a mischief, the badass who was in the first Avengers movie, who was killing thousands of people. He's talking about his feelings over pie. And it's like, I have nothing against guys talking together and saying, man, I'm bummed out because of this and that. It's good therapy. It's good friendship. I talk stuff privately over with sometimes with you or with Damon if I'm, especially the stuff that I've been through. I've had a good core of friends to help me along my way. So I'm not against that, but it's like, it's really the feminization of the male species. And it's like one of those old movies, Amazon women take over the world or something, and I have nothing against strong females. Hey, there's nobody I'd rather, if I was being approached in downtown Dayton, I'd want Gina Carano right behind my back, man.
That's right,
badass MMA fighter, man. I'd want her in my corner anytime, man. And you see how they do her, and stuff like that. We could go on forever about that and not solve all the world's problems. Well, Brian, hey, thank you for another hour, man. Time flies when you're having fun. Brian Swinehart, of course, is live at North Star Coffee Station, 655 North Main Street, right here in Piqua, Ohio. It's a PG show, PG-13 show, so you can bring your kids. There's coffee, danishes, frappes. Cecile always has something good cooking on the stove there for Saturday. Not sure what Saturday's menu is. And then Friday, of course, we got Brian at this comedy showcase. I'll put this up on I think I have it up on my Facebook page already.
Yeah, you do.
If you're in Marengo, and Dango, Ohio, be there or be square, of course. Go see Brian. He's a great comedian. He's a great guy. He will be doing his bit at the North Star Coffee Station. I will be the MC for that. So come out and say hi and get Brian's autograph. And he's a great guy to talk to. And so come out and have some fun and support your local businesses. Keep those tax dollars in your community where they belong.
Yeah, because that's one thing I love about North Star. It's a local business. It's a one of a kind, and he's given us the freedom to be artists. And the big mainstream coffee place, they're not going to do that. We got to have these little. That's what's going to save America, man. Is these little businesses.
The mom and pops, man.
Yeah, 100%.
And we love Cecile and Damon, of course, and Cecile, and Ching, of course, their brilliant daughter. So come see us at the North Star Coffee Station this Saturday at 3:30. Be there or be square. My guest today was Brian Swinehart. And Brian, hey, thanks for coming on to Dr. Gonzo's show.
Hey, thank you. You have a great one. Thanks.
Thanks, man.